Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about the possibility of a new civil war with the Imperium between the Adeptus Ministorum and those still loyal to the Emperor's Dream, the Imperial Truth, in the new 8th edition storyline with the Imperium with Roboute Guilliman returned. So let's jump in and let's have a little chat. Word of warning, this video will contain spoilers from the Dark Imperium novel and also the Plague Wars novel because it has a lot to do with what I'm talking about with the Adeptus Ministorum, Roboute Guilliman, the back and forth and all that. So if you haven't read them books, you may want to exit this video because I probably will spoil the juicy bits for you. So this was always flying around on the interwebs about a next Imperial Civil War with Roboute coming back with, you know, the whole Primaris. A lot of people think there's going to be like an Order 66 Star Wars-esque and the Primaris are going to turn on the Imperium and, you know, just work for Belisarius Cawl, whatever that may be. But I actually always said, no. There really couldn't be another Imperial Civil War. That's already been done. That's the Horus Heresy. We've had that already. They can't possibly go down that road again. But after reading the Dark Imperium novel, and I've just finished Plague Wars fully now, I actually do think that we are on the verge of a civil war between the Adeptus Ministorum and the rest of the Imperium who don't see the Emperor as a god. I know it sounds absolutely bizarre because the Imperium right now is kind of out of a place where it is turning the tide, but obviously not massively turning the tide, but it is turning the tide against Chaos in most of the battles, you know, with the Primaris coming out and, you know, helping them. We have like all the tech of Belisarius Cawl and stuff like that. And then you have the faith of the Imperium mixing it up and getting us in trouble once more. Just briefly, I just want to put all the pieces on the table so we know what the situation is right from the start. So Roboute returned. He had an audience with the Emperor. He doesn't believe the Emperor is a god, even though there's a lot of people around him that do believe the Emperor is a god. He actually created a new rank called the Militant Apostolic, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry, I'm awful at these things, as we all know. And he promoted a guy called Frater Matthew, and he's basically his right-hand man when it comes to the faith and everything revolving the faith. His position is basically to convince the general population and to convince the people who are attached to the faith, the Adeptus Ministorum and stuff like that Guilliman is not a heretic for him not believing the Emperor is a god, because he actually states that the Emperor is not a god. But the main back and forth with this Frater Matthew is that he sees this as his task to convert Guilliman, to make sure Guilliman sees the light that the Emperor is a god. That is the only way it is. So his actions are very motivated by the faith with everything he does, and this really frustrates Guilliman and gets him quite mad, especially so in the Plague Wars book that we're going to talk about in a second. The only reason that Guilliman keeps the faith around as they are right now, basically, and, you know, in the lore and stuff, is because there's just too much going on in the galaxy. I do sense that if he had the chance to purge it and purge it with ease, then Guilliman would purge it, because he sees these as a horrid way of the Imperium's dream of what the Emperor wanted to erase from the galaxy. It's kind of ironic, and he actually mentions it in the Plague Wars book. It's kind of ironic that the Legio Divitatis, which was crafted by Lorgar, has come full circle and basically founded the imperial cult, the imperial religion, which has led to where it is today. And he actually states, like, in his mind, I wonder if they knew that, and how would they react if they knew that. There's also another quote he says about keeping your enemies close and stuff like that, which he learned from his father, from Macragge and stuff. So that is kind of a reason why he keeps the faith close to him, so he can see where their cards are, let's say, on the table. So if anything is going south, he can quickly stop it and amend it, or, you know, take action without, you know, him being on the other side of the galaxy if stuff were to happen. Right, on to the juicy stuff. So why do I personally think that there may be another civil war? Because the faith at the moment is overstepping their mark. They are ignoring Guilliman. Don't forget, Guilliman is the son of the Emperor. His word should be law. Guilliman, at the moment, is basically the de facto Emperor. When he had his audience with the Emperor basically said, right, you're in charge, go out and try and fix all this. But of course, the faith are overstepping, saying, well, the Emperor's word is and all that kind of stuff you expect the faith to say. He's got the Emperor's sword of office. He's an absolute badass, Roboute Guilliman, at this time in his life. I really do feel sorry for him, because everything he's trying to do is hindered by the faith. Now, you may be down with the Ashta Ministorum and stuff like that, but I really do think that the faith in the Imperium is the biggest thorn in the side. I think there's so much, well, there is good that can happen from the faith, but there's so much more evil that transpires when you put faith and religion into like this setting where there's warp demons and all that kind of stuff. And of course, the Emperor tried to stop this with the Imperial Truth, and we all know that turned out Lorgar and stuff like that. Now, what happened in the Plague Wars book, and this is absolutely massive, is that Matthew, the Frater Matthew, basically convinced a sister and her squad, let's say, to turn against Guilliman's command and go against it. Now, you probably say, okay, so she disobeyed a command, but it goes way more into that. There's basically a girl that Guilliman put into, I say protection, basically in jail, but not really in jail, until he could find out more about her. Now, what is the big thing about this girl, you're probably asking yourself? Basically, she kind of had the powers of the Emperor. A lot of people, Matthew included, thought that it was basically the Emperor working his magic through this girl to assist Guilliman and stuff like that. But of course, Guilliman being quite wary and stuff like that, he was like, well, no, I don't believe this, because first thing, I don't believe the Emperor is a god, and secondly, this could just be another form of chaos trying to go behind our back, trying to, get us to use this girl, and, all of a sudden everything goes dark and goes black and stuff like that. So Guilliman was wary. He basically put her under guard from one of the lead sisters of Silence, one of his Primaris guard, and a really cool, I think he was a colonel, Imperial Guard, like commander guy. So she's on full lockdown, but Frater Matthew, through his, I would say through his inspiration as a faith speaker, convinced the Sister of Battle, saying, hey, this girl is the Emperor. She needs to be let loose. She needs to go onto the battlefield where Guilliman's fighting, Mortarion and all the beasts of Nurgle, so she can lend her assistance to Roboute. So her hearing these words basically said, do you know what, right, yeah, I'm going to take this guy's advice on board, and I'm going to go against the word of Guilliman. So she goes to where this girl is being held, and her and the Sisters of Battle go in, and they kill everyone, bar from the Sister of Silence, who was mortally wounded. I won't go into how she's mortally wounded again. Please read the book; it's amazing. If you've already read the book, you'll know by now. And so they take the girl, and then they drive to the battlefield, and the girl ends up actually helping Guilliman defeat all the plague beasts, because there's like, I think there's like 6 demons of Nurgle, like the big tier demons of Nurgle, Mortarians there and stuff like that, and she ends up saving him. Well, I say saving, air quotes saving him. Guilliman was like, I could have saved myself, yeah, that kind of effect. And what basically happens from this then is that after Guilliman finds out that she went against him, they go to trial, and this is where it really, really gets interesting for me. So at the trial, the lady basically gets found guilty of treason, especially because she killed like Sisters of Silence and stuff like that. She has to be burned, and Guilliman basically says no, she won't be burned. She'll have a clean death. Her service and records and stuff like that, so he tells 2 of his guards to take her and finish her, give her a clean death. So it's basically like a bolt round to the head or something. You're not going to be burned at the stake. But the bigger implications about this is that Guilliman asked her, did anyone assist you in this? Did anyone speak to you about doing this? And Frater Matthew's in the room at the same time when all this is going on. And the sister swears on the Emperor himself that no, there was no one else. It was all her doing. No one convinced her to do anything like that. And now we know that it wasn't that. We know that Matthew was the person that basically convinced her to push her to do this, because he's weaving like his own little war at the moment. I personally think about, the faith and getting the faith to the front of it and trying to convert Gilliman to the faith and all that kind of stuff. So she lies under oath. Everyone basically is told to leave the room except for Freyta and this custodian guard, who's basically like Gilliman's like big bodyguard from the custodians and stuff like that. He has Cato Sicarius completely locked down the room, so like there's like no Vox can get into there. All radio contact is silenced. No one's allowed to come in to disturb him, and he just loses his mind at Matthew. He goes full on rage mode. Like, I've never seen Gilliman go like this mad before at someone, and he's like, I know it's you, Matthew. Tell the truth. I know you convinced this sister to lie under oath and stuff like that. And Matthew's like, he actually thinks he's gonna die and stuff like that. But Gilliman's not like that, because again, Gilliman has this thing in his mind about, I'd rather let I'll have my enemies closer rather than pushing them aside and stuff like that, so he can keep an eye on Matthew and what he's doing. So he basically has a steamboat rage at Matthew, and then he says, right, if you ever disobey my orders once more, I'll replace you. I think he was basically hinting at it will kill him. The custodian basically stood up and says, Gilliman doesn't control me, only the Emperor controls me. Step out on line one more time and I will kill you. So I thought that was a pretty badass moment from the custodian. Don't mess around. I will finish you. Gilliman actually tells this Matthew guy, all this stuff you're going on about, it's not true. The Emperor is not a god. I was there with the Emperor. I know the Emperor's plans. The Emperor told me himself what his plans were. The Emperor is not a god. And that Matthew is still not convinced. He's just fanatical. He's like, I will show you the light, my lord. The Emperor's given me this task to show you the light. Well, Gilliman's walking away, and it is completely bat crazy where this guy is, and that's it. But that's the Imperial religion, and this is the big task now, where I personally think Gilliman is coming to the end of his tether with the faith, and I think something is about to explode very, very big. Now, of course, this could happen in the third book, and I really, really do hope they explore it more. This is like a Guy Harley trilogy of books. First is Dark Imperium, second is Plague Wars, and the third one we have no idea what it's called at the moment, but I'm sure it's going to be absolutely massive. So I personally think now that maybe GW are gearing up in some kind of way for the Imperium and the Adeptus Ministorum to clash in some kind of epic way. Don't forget, we do have the Sisters of Battle coming out this year as well, so I'm wondering if it could be very, very interesting around those models. Maybe some lore, some books, maybe something added into the Codex about the possibility of, seeing rebooted Gilliman as some kind of heretic, because he doesn't believe the Emperor is a god, and there's some disdain towards him and his leadership of the Imperium. Now, there's another point I want to make, which is kind of, I don't know where this is going to be going. I personally think Gilliman is doing this to understand his enemy, but maybe they're doing this for another reason. Maybe Gilliman may be converting to the faith in somewhat, but right at the end of the Plague Wars novel, Gilliman is talking about this book and, like how special it is, and like how the book was basically as old as him, and he had all the copies he could find burned back in the day and stuff like that. And it's basically the Legio Divitatus. That's what it is. Someone has it. Someone delivered it to him, and he actually has it in like a box and stuff. And he's looking at it, and he's like, theoretical. I must set this right. Practical. I must read it. So he can basically understand what the mind of these people are like. And then right at the end, it's so cool. Right at the end, the actual quote is, "Rejoice, for I bring you glorious news. A god walks among us." So ran the first two lines of the Legio Divitatus. So Gilliman opens up the book, and he actually starts to read the book, and that's where the Plague Wars book ends. So we don't really know now what the next stage of Gilliman's thought process is going to be in the third book. Is he going to be a bit more open to the faith, or is he going to even hunker down more on it, because he's reading this now for the first time ever, and he's actually understanding the mind of these people, which have these thoughts about the Emperor is a god and how they see him as a divine being because of the stuff which is set out in, like, you know, these kind of books and all that kind of stuff. If it did come to blows, if it really did come to blows, I think it would be absolutely costly for the Imperium, especially now that they've kind of got their stuff together and they are taking the fight towards chaos. If another Imperial civil war did brew, I think it would tear the heart out of humanity once more, because the faith is so much a foundation now of the Imperial society. It's like, how do you completely root that out? There's so many people, like, I'm sure people read books and stuff, you know, just about you know, other stuff like Eisenhorn, Ravenna, you know, all these other series. The faith is so entangled into all this that you can't really just flick a switch and then it just goes away. If a war was to happen with the faith, then it would be, you know, a 1,000-year war easily. Just, you know, just back and forth. They do have the numbers, of course. Roboute Guilliman has the Space Marines and, you know, the bigger kind of weapons, let's say, but it's a war of the mind rather than a war of weapons, because at the end of the day, the faith is in someone's head and someone's heart. You can't really take that away instantly. You have to try and convince them. You have to show them of their wrongdoings, and that could take a very, very long time. All right, Chaperonios, I'm just going to call it there so I'm not waffling on for like 15 plus minutes. Thank you for watching the video. What do you chaps think? Do you think there is a possibility of a civil war between the Imperium, again with the Astra Militarum, not the Astra Militarum, the Astra Ministorum, and, like, you know, the peoples of Guilliman's setting of, you know, the imperial truth, there is no religion, the Emperor's not gone, you know, all that kind of stuff. Tell me what you think. Or maybe, you know, an imperial civil war between two other factions. I don't think there's really other factions out there. I'm not going to go with the Primaris of the bad guys and Order 66 is going to happen. That is definitely off the cards. Don't believe the hype. Primaris are the good guys, and we're here to help out. Trust me. Right, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. See you all very, very soon, and have a great day. See you now, and bye-bye.